Hi, in this video, we will explore how Looker can easily support multi-tenant data architectures. By using these techniques, you will eliminate the need for heavy manual updates or project duplication every time you onboard a new customer. You can provide instant insights and a bespoke experience with zero operational friction. Multi-tenancy might sound complex, but the concept is simple. It's about serving many customers from a single application. In a multi-tenant data architecture, we use the same underlying data structures for everyone, but the data itself stays siloed. It's the backbone of modern SaaS solutions. We've got a lot to cover today. We're diving deep into the three biggest challenges of multi-tenancy. First, we'll look at cost attribution. Next, we'll tackle data isolation. And finally, I'm going to show you how to manage custom requirements for individual clients in a single model. As we will see, all these solutions are based in user attributes, which makes them extremely scalable. Let us start with cost allocation. We will create a connection reading the billing project configuration from a user attribute. I've created an attribute called billing project. For this demo, I'm allowing users to edit this value so we can see the data switch in real time. In a live production scenario, however, you would restrict this to none and likely hide the attribute from the UI entirely. Instead of setting a global default value, a robust multi-tenant strategy relies on group-level assignments. By defining these values at the group level, Looker automatically routes each customer to their respective project or dataset the moment they authenticate. Now, let's see the magic happen by creating our dynamic connection. We'll start by navigating to the Connections panel and selecting Add Connection. We'll name this one Multi-Tenancy Demo. After selecting our dialect, we move to the most critical step, the project ID. Instead of hard-coding a static string here, we're going to select User Attribute. By choosing our Billing Project attribute, we're telling Looker that the target project will now depend entirely on who is logged in. Note, you'll still see a field for the primary dataset. Remember, this is just a fallback. It doesn't lock you into a specific dataset. Also, you might consider configuring also the dataset using a user attribute. We complete the configuration of the connection and save. When I test the connection works. Let's explore my user profile. Currently, my user profile is mapped to a project. When I run the test, you can see it passes successfully. But watch what happens when I update the value of the user attribute for my user. For this demo, I'll manually update my profile to point to a different project. Now, when we retest the connection, it fails. Why? Because Looker is now trying to use the new project I just assigned. This confirms that Looker is dynamically adapting the connection on the fly, considering the user profile. This architecture ensures you can confidently isolate data and accurately allocate costs for every single user. Now, let's move to the second part of our journey, dynamic schema mapping. In many multi-tenant environments, you need the flexibility to route queries to different projects, datasets, or even specific tables based on the user's identity. To demonstrate this, I've created three specific user attributes that act as our mapping variables. These allow us to define a unique data path for every user or group. If we look at one of these attributes, you'll see I've set the user access to view for this demo. In a live environment, you would typically hide these values entirely to keep your backend architecture internal. I've also assigned a default value here for speed, though in production you'd likely leave this blank and handle assignments via group values to ensure strict data siloing. The real power is in the LookML. Notice that I've updated the SQL table name parameter. It's no longer a hard-coded string. Instead, the project, dataset, and table are all being read dynamically from our user attributes. While most customers choose to segregate data at the project level, others prefer dataset or table-level multi-tenancy. This flexible architecture allows you to combine all three methods to fit your specific needs. Let's see it in action. If we open an Explore and pull in the status field, we can see in the generated SQL that Looker is currently reading from the Looker Demos project and the e-commerce dataset. I've just updated my account attributes, and as you can see, the project value has changed. Now, when I refresh the Explore and check the SQL tab, the query has automatically updated to reflect the new project path. In just a few steps, we've demonstrated how to dynamically swap entire billing projects and data sources on the fly based on users' attributes. But we can take this even further. Next, we'll explore how to dynamically adjust the table structure itself based on user configurations. In most SaaS applications, one size rarely fits all. Your customers will eventually need to introduce unique attributes or custom fields to meet their specific business requirements. How do you handle custom fields without changing your database schema every time a new customer signs up? Most SaaS leaders use a key value pair strategy. Imagine one customer uses a custom field for color and another for fabric. To Looker, these don't have to be different columns. By mapping them to a common schema, we can categorize them by their data type and sequence. If we assume both color and fabric are strings and are assigned as the first string attribute in their respective sets, we can build a single dynamic LookML model that serves both customers perfectly. Then we can manage the label, key, and visibility with user attributes. To bring this all together, we're going to define three key parameters for our dynamic fields: the label, what the user sees; the ID, the database key or attribute name; and access, whether the user has permission to see it. The strategy here is to map a dynamic set of customer-specific attributes to a standardized type and sequence number. For example, attribute 1 might be color for one user and fabric for another. By mapping these to a specific data type and number, we can keep our LookML model consistent while the front end remains entirely dynamic. Let's see how this works in practice. Before we run the query, let's look at the configuration for my current user profile. These are the parameters we'll be passing through the model. Now, let's take a look under the hood to see how the LookML handles this. Here is a look at the implementation. In this configuration, we're using our first user attribute to dynamically define the label for this object. Instead of a static name, the field name will change automatically based on the user's settings. You'll notice we are querying a nested data architecture. We've designed the SQL to look for a specific key value pair within that nested structure to extract the correct data point. Finally, we've added a grant layer for security. The model checks a specific attribute to see if it contains a yes. If it does, the user is granted access to the data. Otherwise, it remains hidden. As you can see here, we have a column labeled color. I'll pull in the price and run the query. On the surface, it looks like a standard report, but the magic is in the generated SQL. If we look at the code, you'll notice that color is being treated as a dynamic key. The label you see in the UI isn't hard-coded in the model. It's being pulled directly from the attribute we defined earlier. Also, notice the visibility. The data is appearing because our access grant is currently set to yes. This confirms that we are successfully governing both the naming and the security of our fields through user attributes. Now, let's see how quickly this adapts. I'm going to change these attributes in my profile, and we'll watch the report transform instantly. I've just updated the parameters in the admin panel, so let's look at the results. This was our report before the change, where we were looking at color. Now let's refresh the page. Instantly, the field in the picker has been renamed to weight. Even the column header in our results table has updated to reflect the new label. Behind the scenes, the model is now targeting a completely different key in our nested data without changing